Were these God's earliest verbal communications? For generations, Chinese farmers in Anyang would dig up what were thought to be dragon bones and sell them for medicinal uses. In 1899, an archaeologist discovered they were etched with markings, primeval Chinese characters a millennium older than any previously known texts. On the bones were recorded a question and an answer, usually a yes or no. Will the king's child be a son? Will tomorrow be good for hunting? In prehistoric times, priests would heat the bones with red-hot pokers and divine the meaning of the resulting cracks. The oracle bones had come up in one of my first prayers. Rushing ahead without reading, I had asked simply, "Lord, what were you up to with the Chinese?"
You might say that the Chinese approached me. I did not approach them. They explicitly consulted me. That is the meaning of the oracle bones.
So the oracle bones were not a divine bolt out of the blue, like God speaking to Abraham. The Chinese sought divine guidance, and God responded. What began as brief inscriptions on the oracle bones grew into a classic on how to behave in various situations.
The I Ching was a simple guide to action, trying to figure out what the situation was so they could know which virtue was appropriate to it. It is a very ancient work, one of the earliest, and represents an important moment in the conversation with me.
Each section of the book opens with a beautifully drawn character, symbolic of its meaning. Lord, I seem to have two possible starting points on China, the discussion of the aesthetic appreciation of nature, or the oracle bones as the precursor to the I Ching.
The two are really one. Correctly reading the oracle bones required the aesthetic attitude, the willing suspension of desire. That is one of the hazards of consulting oracles. Too often one wants only to hear the good news, or flattering reports, or accept solutions with which you are comfortable. To correctly read the bones or any oracle—
For a moment, I feared I had lapsed into just listening to my own thoughts. I hope you're saying this, Lord.
To correctly read any oracle requires not being attached to specific outcomes, not preferring or not being influenced by preferring one reading over another. That requires a restful, detached attitude, not very easy to achieve at court.
With a ruler breathing down your neck.
Precisely. What the marks on the bone are doing is attuning the seer to the situation, letting it speak to him. This situation wants a certain action or attitude. The seer has to quietly listen to the situation.
What did this do for your development, Lord?
It was a refinement. I had communicated with earlier human beings primarily by warnings and nudges to go one way rather than another.
With the people of Israel, you gave commandments.
Yes, but this was much earlier. It invited me to present myself not as an urging force, but just as a manifestation of the right order, and like a patient being diagnosed, to wince if something was wrong. And in a sense, it made me beautiful. Obviously, the cave painters had seen my beauty too, but that response was primarily localized to seeing the divine presence in particular animals. The questions put to the oracle bones were about larger situations and pointed ultimately to the whole of nature as a divine order.
And a beautiful order?
Precisely. And this was new to me. There are two aspects here. First, that I am the right order of the universe, which is different from just being its organizer. We're moving from regularity, the laws of nature and human nature, to a moral and aesthetic order. Second, that my order is beautiful, that it can be sensed aesthetically, that there is encoded within it a fittingness, rules of fittingness, of what is right to do in different situations. The Taoists picked up on one aspect of this, the Confucians on another.
The oracle bones led to the I Ching, or Book of Changes. Ching means an authoritative book or classic. I means changes. Human situations are always changing, and the I Ching gives a taxonomy of the 64 kinds of situations a person can confront. It was studied for its wisdom, for divination, and for identification of one's situation and how best to respond to it. You toss coins or sticks to know which of the 64 sections will answer your question. Years ago, a friend had talked me into trying it. At the time, I was drawn to a certain erotic adventure, to put it delicately. It could have been a disaster. I was looking for permission. I tossed the coins and was guided to a section. It was the Chinese equivalent of Henry David Thoreau's Simplify, Simplify. Irritated, I did not do any more I Ching. I wondered if I should try again, but I was told to read it for the original divine encounter. The book's ancient wisdom is contained in symbolic language that must be decoded. Like people for 3,000 years, I found it fascinating,